Well, Mikey, let's talk about your last fight that you had with Jessie Vargas. It was an excellent performance by you on February 29th. You knocked him down in the fifth, en route to the decision victory. What did you learn from that fight against Jessie Vargas down in Texas?
Well, it was a good fight. He came in to win. He put up a great effort. He was complicating things with the height and reach, just like we expected. But once I started getting the timing and the rhythm of things, I felt more comfortable, and I was able to take control of the pace and the fight. And I hurt him, but he got back up. He fought back. He was always dangerous, So something that I could say I learned is that I'm obviously risking a lot more fighting at a welterweight division. Bigger guys can always be dangerous. I could definitely feel the size difference in the ring, but we got the win. We feel that that's all I need to do, to show everybody that I can be a key player at the welterweight limit. I need to make sure that I can win, and that's what we did. I don't want to risk, a loss, trying to get the knockout. So we played safe. I think it was a good call, and I know I have the ability to do so even at welterweight.
Let's talk about some of those big name matchups. I know that you have mentioned you want a fight with Manny Pacquiao. Also, you have discussed the fact of, even though that it didn't go your way and you suffered the first blemish on your career, but that you would want a rematch with Errol Spence. Let's go back about a year ago, 14 months ago, when you fought Errol Spence at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. A wonderful atmosphere, over 47,000 fans, close to 50,000. What did you learn in that fight against Errol Spence?
Well, it was a great fight, a great performance by him. He fought, the perfect fight. He really knew how to box as a southpaw stance, kept the right distance. I felt like I was gonna be able to get on the inside or maybe use lateral movement, but I just wasn't able to. He was able to just always be a step ahead. He was a step quicker, a step better in every way. I knew he was gonna be a tough fighter. He does everything so well. I kept saying he reminds me a lot about me. There's nothing flashy and nothing special that stands out in Errol Spence, but everything he does it very well, very effective. A lot similar to the way I fight, but he was obviously a lot better, and he was bigger guy, longer reach, the height, and he knew how to use it. He didn't give it up. Whenever I tried to get on the inside a little bit, whenever I tried to walk forward, he walked back and keep the distance. And whenever I tried to box on the outside, he would walk forward just enough to be at a distance that he was able to tag me with and land punches and combinations. Am I back?
Mikey,
am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
He was able to always, dictate that distance. So he fought a perfect fight. And I mean, what else can I learn? Hey, that's just boxing. You gotta take what you learn from that loss and keep moving forward. And I think I want to earn my shot. I need to win, a few fights, get another big fight, maybe a world title fight, and that would secure a rematch opportunity.
Well, let's talk about what could potentially be next. A name that you have been very vocal about has been that of Manny Pacquiao, the man who last July defeated Keith Thurman. So what is your thought process in regards to this potential fight with Manny Pacquiao? We had Keith Thurman on 2 weeks ago, and he said he feels that he deserves a rematch against Pacquiao. With where you stand right now and being very vocal about calling out Manny Pacquiao and believing that it is stylistically a fantastic fight for you, what is your mindset about potentially fighting Manny Pacquiao? Have you heard anything about his interest on potentially fighting you, or where do you stand right now when it comes to a potential matchup against the 8th Division World Champion in Manny Pacquiao?
Oh, I mean, I would love an opportunity to fight Manny. I think even though he is a southpaw, he's not quite the boxer to use that like Errol, like the height. He doesn't have the height and reach advantages like Errol. So I think that makes it a better fight for me, you know, where I know he's going to engage. I know he's going to fight hard. He's a great fighter. He's a living legend, you know, and I would love to add something like that to my resume, you know, fighting you know, the great Manny Pacquiao would be, you know, tremendous for my legacy. And if I'm capable of securing a victory over him, you know, that definitely adds to what I want to accomplish, you know, that legacy, those big triumphs. You know, I'm excited if we can get that fight. That'd be the best fight. I know there's other opportunities for him. There's other options. You mentioned Keith, you know, maybe Errol Spence, maybe, you know, other names, you know, in the division like Danny Garcia or anybody else. I'm sure all these are big fights for Manny. Like I said, I would love an opportunity as well. I think it would be a terrific fight. The fan base would love that. I think I have a lot of fans. He's obviously the biggest draw. So I think it would be a terrific fight. And if I can get that, I mean, I'm definitely taking care of business. I'm not going to let this pass by, you know. I hope we can secure that and look forward to it. I mean, there's nothing bad I can go. I mean, I think I can fight very well. I feel that my boxing style can complicate things a lot for him, similar to the way Marquez complicated things for Manny, all those fights.
Mikey, is it fair to say that when you came back the second time, that with the names that you mentioned and the victory over Lipinets was mightily impressive, all of your victories, but that you wanted only the best of the best? I feel like there's no such thing with you as a tune-up fight or as a fight to get you ready for a bigger fight. From the way that I've seen your career in this second half is the fact that you wanted to fight, you know, either champions or the best in the division or big names. Is that fair to say?
That's fair. Look, I just don't get excited for a tune-up fight. That's not gonna give me excitement, and it's not gonna allow me to perform. You know, I need a big challenge. I need a big name, a big, you know, opponent that can challenge me and push me, you know, in order for me to perform. You know, this last fight with Jessie Vargas, he was available. He fit the bill that we wanted, the fight at the time. You know, we've picked for other names. We looked at other names, but they were unfortunately unavailable. They were unavailable for the time that we needed. And then some of the names that were brought up to me were just not exciting. You know, there were tune-up fights. There were comeback fights, and I just didn't want that. I know I do not need a tune-up fight. I do not need a gimme fight just to get back in the ring. I do not need that. You know, I need a challenge, you know, in order to grow and in order to show everybody what I'm capable of doing. And, you know, Jesse did that. You know, he's a former 2-division champion, former welterweight champion. His only 2 defeats had come to the hands of Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. You know, so it was the right opponent, big natural guy that I can showcase my skills against. And now I'm looking for bigger fights. You know, I'm looking for the biggest fights available. It's not just what I want. You know, obviously my opponent or the guys would also be interested in a fight with me. But I think that I'm willing to fight anybody, you know, that's available and that makes sense. That's how I keep growing. That's how my fans keep growing. That's why they love me so much.
What are your thoughts on the rest of the welterweight division? We went ahead and we discussed Spence, Pacquiao, but what about the likes of Keith Thurman, the Shawn Porters, Terrence Crawford, Sergey Lipinets, a man at 147, your Dennis Ugas as well, the Cuban. Oh, you know, what is your, you know, initial analysis of those guys?
Look, the welterweight division is very stacked. You got great talent, lots of champions. You know, all the names you mentioned, I think would be terrific fights. I think I'm able to get in the mix with everybody, you know, and I'm willing to do it. The only thing is, are they also willing to do it? Maybe they also have other options. Maybe they have different agendas that they're in search of. So I'm able to be flexible, but I don't know if everybody's available. I would love to get in the ring with all of them. You know, I think a great matchup would be Danny Garcia. I think that would be a terrific fight. I know he was in search of a possible Errol Spence fight or Manny Pacquiao fight. So maybe he's trying to get that fight before facing someone like me. He already fought Keith and he already fought Shawn Porter, but I haven't fought them. So I'm willing to get in the ring with Keith and Shawn. I think those would be terrific fights also.
So you're saying that you'd be willing to fight Shawn Porter in your next fight?
For sure.
If you can't get Pacquiao, let's look at, I talked about this with Thurman, but what's your wish list right now? Number one, I would say, is what, Pacquiao?
Look, Manny Pacquiao would be the ideal fight for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I would entertain the most. If that offer was presented to me, I would definitely explore that the most. Okay. But if that's not available, if Manny says, I'm not fighting Mikey for whatever reason, I'm fighting Danny or Errol or whoever it may be, then I'm going to have to look at whoever else is available, whoever else is left. You know, if he decided to fight Shawn Porter, then I may look into fighting Danny Garcia. But if Danny's looking for Errol, then the only one left out would be Keith. So then maybe I go with Keith. The only name that I'm not really looking at as much, and not because I wouldn't want to fight, but because I know the business would be probably impossible, would be Crawford. Being that I've seen Bob Arum maybe not say the nicest things about me, I just think that fight's probably out of the question. I've seen and heard Bob speak some things about me that pretty much tell me he doesn't want to work. So it's not that I wouldn't fight Crawford, and I don't think Crawford has anything, against fighting me. He would love to fight, but being that he's held by Top Rank and Bob Arum, that just complicates things for the moment. So I think I would look at the other options, like you mentioned, all the other names. Shawn Porter would be a terrific fight. He stands and fights every single time he gets in the ring. He's in exciting fights every single time. I think the fans would love a fight like that. Keith, same thing. Keith is there to fight. And he's been a champion, unified champion, and I think that would be a terrific fight for the fans to watch. So like I said, I'm open to fighting anybody.
What are your thoughts on potentially fighting in empty arenas? Is that something that you've thought of? Because the way that sports is going to move forward, at least for the short term, it appears as if we are going to see no fans in stadiums or arenas. What's your take on fighting with no fans in the arena?
Look, initially I'm not very excited for a venue like that or that scenario where we're in an indoor studio or warehouse or whatever it may be. I'm not so excited for that. Honestly, I love the fans. I love the crowd. In fact, the most special moment of the whole event is the ring walk. At least it is for me. The ring walk, hearing the music play with all the fans getting up and cheering me on, that's emotional. That brings, tears to my eyes sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's the best feeling, So I don't know how it would be fighting in an arena without any fans or very limited people around, only like the people working the event. It's just one of those different scenarios where I don't know how I'm going to take, but I'm willing to give it a try. I'm not just going to retire. If that's what we have to do to get in the ring, and in order for me to grow my legacy and, leave my mark in boxing, then I'm willing to do it. I'll probably, I probably won't like it, but I'm willing to do it if that's what it's going to take. And I think if this whole virus doesn't go away and we're not able to secure, the vaccines or the medication needed, then we're going to have to move on with scenarios like this, indoor studio type of scenarios where it's just broadcasted instead of live attendance. It's going to change. It's going to be different. But, it may be one of those things where, that's the only thing to do. We can't do anything else. I also don't want to retire. I don't have plans to retire, and I didn't want to retire. So I'll definitely fight.
I also saw, Mikey, that you dabbled into being a boxing promoter. What is that like in being able to, stick your foot in the water when it comes to being a promoter and not just the fighter?
Look, it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, patience. But I enjoy it. I like it because I'm also helping other fighters develop their careers, build their records, just like I did, early when I first started. You have to start from zero, so if I'm able to help a fighter develop a winning record, maybe give him an opportunity to get on a bigger platform and take a chance and win something big and move on, in the ladder, then that makes me happy. That I'm also using my own, leverage and platform connections, relationships to help others. I'm only going to box for X number of years, but if I can continue helping other fighters, I'm going to be in boxing for the rest of my life, and I'll have so much pleasure and satisfaction knowing that I helped, all these fighters, reach their goals, reach their highest potential. And that's what it's about for me, being a promoter. I'm not doing it for the money. There's no money right now, not at the level that we are. Honestly, there isn't. Yeah. People think that we're making money or that every promoter is going to make money just because they see a good show. That doesn't turn or translate to dollar bills. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to help the fighters. I'm doing it to help the kid get an opportunity to grow and maybe get showcased on a TV fight, and then he can make some money. Not even me, it's for them. So it's fun for that reason, and it feels good to be able to help.
How much longer do you see yourself fighting as a boxer? There are different things that fighters say when they're, some guys say, hey, I want to fight till I'm 35. Other guys say, until I can't compete at this level. Do you have a number in your head where you say, okay, by this age, I am done, or I have 2 or 3 years left, assuming I'm healthy? Do you have a number like that in your mind as to how long you want to continue fighting?
Look, I did earlier when I first started my professional career. I had a number. I figured at age 30, I would probably be ready to retire. Had I not taken the time off, then I probably would have retired, between 30 and 32. But being that I did take the time off, now all that has changed. I'm 32, and I feel like I'm hitting my prime. So I'm definitely not going to retire anytime soon. I think, me personally, I will keep fighting minimum 3 to 5 years. However, if things change and I'm unhealthy or I get injured or whatever, then, we got to, call it quits. But if I'm healthy and I'm physically fit to keep fighting and competing at this level, then I'll definitely be fighting for at least 3 to 5 years. Like I said, there's so much more I want to accomplish, and I don't see me retiring anytime soon. Like if I'm healthy, for all this time, I'm gonna do this for a long time. I want to leave a big legacy. I want to be leave a big impression in boxing. I want to be remembered. I want my name to be remembered among the greatest. To do it.
If you could, when would your next fight be? If you had the opportunity to truly dictate it right now, when would you want your next fight?
If I could dictate my own agenda, I'd say I'd do something in July or August.
Okay.
I'd do a fight in July, August, because that would still leave some room for a possible December fight. That would probably still do it.
If you can, you want to fit that third one in there if you can.
If I could, yes. If I'm not hurt, no injuries, no cuts, stuff like that, and if the opponents are available, I would love to take on like I said, on 3 fights this year. That was my goal. That was my goal. So if I can still squeeze that, that would be perfect. If not, then at least once more before the end of the year. Maybe we push something for like a September, October date, and then wait till next year.
For all the best boxing content, follow PBC on Fox on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for watching. Well, if you enjoyed that clip, make sure you click somewhere around here and subscribe. From fight highlights to exclusive interviews, we have got everything you need as a boxing fan right here on PBC on Fox.